Yeah,
Finally back at it
my
again.
dog. Yeah. Hey, yo, I'm happy to be here though, dog, because you know what I'm saying. I don't know. A lot of people might not know this though, but like we family. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I love doing stuff with my family because I like doing things that like build legacy. You know what I'm saying, and build like future references, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this right here, this is a stamp on the future because this will be here forever. Like this is not going nowhere. Like it'll always be here. It'll always showcase not only just what we talking about, but also just family coming together, doing what we do together and building together. So when this happens right here, I love it. It touched me deep into my soul. And I'm just happy to be here with motherfucking King Khalil, man. What's up, bro?
I appreciate it, Bog. I love you too, bro. This the nice times you can always remember. And yeah, man, this type of stuff won't ever leave the internet, the interwebs, the communication, the conversations, and that's what makes the internet so great, right? And
Absolutely.
it's great to have conversations, even with family, but when we take it out to a larger demographic of people, just the general populace, right?
Right.
And there's these, let's say, well, they're the minority of people on YouTube, even though YouTube is a male dominated platform. Video games, tech, fixing your car, how to reviewing remotes and computers, tablets, etc., more stuff that guys are into.
Facts.
And there are spheres there, and that's one thing I never understood quite much, because even though we're all men, we still I see, like, I get it, black people want things to be black, and to a degree for a while I did too, but I also think like we can all just be men and do what men do, build. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So a while ago there was this Auburn Preach Fresh and Fit. They're way above guys, 1 million subs, 400,000, 500,000 subs. And there was this beef about Auburn Preach essentially attacking Fresh and Fit. Now, it was a
Right.
hit piece,
Right.
as they called it, and they said some things that they could have said in person that Fresh and Fit took offense to. So Fresh and
Yeah.
Fit talking big cash. I mean, they insulted and Preach's wife. They doing things they shouldn't have done. They could have
Right.
defended themselves better than what they did.
They definitely could have, and I ain't gonna go too deep on that, but we know what we do as men and how we supposed to represent as men. But a lot of times, you know how it go. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, your ego gets involved. You get angry. You know what I'm saying? That's like me. You sit down and have a conversation because we have differences of opinion, and then you wait 4 months, and then you talking big cash. It's like, wait, why didn't you do this while you were on my platform and we were already talking, right? Because even during the episode, they had brought up, Abba being a punk, basically, or it's blue pill, but and figured out Abba was really standing on his square. He brought that up, but didn't bring up any other things that happened throughout the podcast. So, as
Right.
stated, Fresh and Fit handled the situation poorly. All the people that even defended them at one point was like, they should have done this part better. It was objective criticism.
Yeah.
And I'm watching both sides because I'm thinking to myself, well, this is the first time online, at least, that I've even been in the midst of men essentially beefing. Not
Right.
no crazy like gang banging beef, some
Right.
Nas and stuff like that. Go ahead.
Jay-Z, nah, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying? You always gotta keep one ear to the beat and one ear to the streets. I mean, that's how it always, I mean, it always gotta be like that because as a man, you gotta be able to represent on both home fronts, especially when it come down to like protection, not just of self, but even of community. So yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you.
So there were a couple other things that transpired that I should mention, as far as this guy that was working for Fresh and Fit, and he came to their studio, kicked in the door, talking about, yeah, album preach, blah blah blah. And Myron, as now known on the internet, used to be a officer for what, like, Homeland Security, the FBI or something. and
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
and he had a strap on him. So he's just like, I need you to leave my property. The gun's behind his back. and it's like, oh yeah, now you gotta pull a gun on me, got and people are like, why don't you go out to the hallway and fight? All this extra stuff that I mean, you're just trying to protect people in your space, right? So I say all
Right.
that to say, did Alba and Preach make some fair points? Yeah, in the RP community, there is a lot of essential catch 22s with women dealing with women, being a man and what it means to, and different opinions from different people. They all somewhat share the same, let's say, viewpoints, but opinions differ, and how you
Right.
should do
And
things.
yeah, and then it comes to where like, where is the line drawn?
Yeah. Well, that's a good, but where is the line drawn? Because
Right.
even though I don't think like Abba and Preach sent the guy to Fresh and Fit spot because he had already worked with it before. That's probably the reason why he's probably able to get up there. But it's just you're here's my biggest contention, right? You
Uh,
have men that could, hey, if you don't like one another, you don't want to deal with one another, that's cool. Nothing in law, nothing anywhere says you have to like or deal with one another. But instead of giving essentially what I would think of as an olive branch, hey, these guys did this, they came at us this way, but I essentially not want to be the bigger man, but want to show that as men we can communicate. We can say, "Hey, I don't really rock with you, whether it be forever or just right now. I've seen how you act when you're under distress, and I don't like that type of behavior. I'm not a fan of it. I don't want to work with you. You know what I'm saying? And let's just go our separate ways. I'm still going to do what I'm going to do on my end. You guys do what you do on your end, and let's just, what is it? Mutually exist, I guess, right?
right.
But in
Right. Agree to disagree.
Yeah, there you go. But instead, it was this constant attack and beratement, constant attack, beratement, and as of recently, Fresh and Fit was with some chick, and she's talking about how she likes him for him, blah blah blah, all this stuff that if you listen to RP stuff, it's like, well, no, women love conditionally, not unconditionally, and then they find TikToks of her talking about want to be with rich dudes and her being on sugar sites and it's just it now Fresh is a simp and it's just it's not that they did a video on him. Sure, you could call this out because even DJ Academics, one of their he's been on the show a couple times and he's really good friends with them from what I could tell. Even he had a whole conversation with Fresh on the podcast about how he thinks he's being a hypocrite. So it's not the idea that you guys that Ab and Preach came back at them, but it was like came back at them. I mean, it felt like a Nas diss track, man. Jay-Z, Biggie, and Tupac. It was like, dang, they trying to drop
Yeah.
another brick on their head. you
Already.
know what I mean?
Fact.
so,
Facts, dog.
so it's just
And the
like,
joint is it's crazy though because it's like nowadays it like so like all right, I would say like back then it was really for the respect of what we talking about, what we proving, what we doing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Now I feel like it's in an age where it's all about viewership and content creating and tap ins. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
at the same time, even back then when it was about like all of the things that I just said, but it was also about that too because that's what's getting them record sales, that's what's getting them views, that's what's getting them all the same things back then. But now it's just on a whole nother platform. So it's like, do you give it up and keep it G, right?
yeah,
And not build anything off of it, even if it's good or bad, but it's still a build. You know what I'm saying? Because the haters give you love, that's love because they there viewing and watching your shit. The
yeah,
people who really love you give you love because they there really watching your shit. But it's like, can you make a separation from it to the real and the fake? Or can you just do it as a job? Which one is it going to be? And then why is it going to be like that for you?
Well, I think even that comes down to the fact that it has to be a job if you want to be successful at it. At least something that you constantly do as a side hustle that could eventually build up. But even then, it's all view dominated. So it was funny while Fresh and Fit was getting all this hate and everybody was coming at their neck. they got the most views that month out of everything because everyone and their mama love drama, right? So
Facts.
it's just like, man, how can what does it come to where because there's a chick named Harley Quinn Fitness, right? She makes this accusation of like Myron said you can't come on the show unless he sleeps with her. And Fresh and Fit debunked this. As far as what he said was accurate, but she took it out of context. Anything out of context is trash, And I would reference that. What's his name? Trevor Noah interview. I can't remember where. Funnily enough, an album preach video, right? But he was talking about how you take anything out of context, umbrella, Ella, a under my umbrella. Like, what is that, right? Because the lady was attacking him about jokes that he did and how they all sound bad if you really listen to him. And she's just talking, you know what I'm saying? She's not doing it in a way that a comedian would to express his opinion. So she had deleted some messages, and then she puts out a video why deleted messages, and it's just like, I'm not making any. I'm not even really into the beef. I see it going on. I just like the content for different reasons. Fresh or Fit got like Money Mondays and Womanizer Wednesdays, and they try to give guys game on different levels. Credit card. They have a credit card video that I've watched and need to rewatch because it was fire, and like how you should invest in credit card, what the best credit card to get into and stuff like that, things to help men progress in more ways. While I look at Auburn Preach as just entertainment, comedy, because I think they're both comedians. I think they're, okay. And I don't mind their content. And sometimes I think their viewpoint is too liberal as far as like when Preach is talking about something, if it's one of those gay trans thing, it's like it's you can hear the tiptoeing in his words. Besides, I mean, you don't have to be vulgar, but just say what you're gonna say. You know what I'm saying? A person, trans person, going into a spa and had his stuff out because he says he's a chick, and that works nowadays. And all these little girls and the grown women are complaining to the people because why does this guy have his stuff out saying he's a girl when he has his stuff out? And my daughter, that's 8 years old, 6 year old, is seeing this, right? And it
Right.
can lead to something bad, and later find out that this guy actually he used to, I think, either a pedophilic or he had been charged for assaulting a woman, and just because he was a chick now, no one backdated it. They didn't know. So you got this guy who's a potential predator around all these young girls. You don't know what happens, right? So
Right.
it's like it's that idea where I say all that to say when Abba and Preach were attacking them, it was like, all right, I mean, cool, get your 16 minutes of fame, right? I mean, I ain't mad, get your money, whatever. But then it came to a point where it was like, don't listen to them. Listen to Patricia O'Neal. Listen to better people. They're horrible people. You got your O'Shea Duke Jackson talking about how they're bad people. You know what I'm saying? And all these other people that weren't as popular. But it was just like, I thought we were men and we could sit down and have a conversation. Why couldn't a conversation happen? They ridiculed and berated them the same way that a woman does in a Me Too thing, where it's cancel culture and that guy's trash and you should just believe her. They did the same things to men, and this is all men. So
Right.
what are we talking about? How are you guys being different in how you approach things as men? You're acting like the central liberal culture that we live in now. And to me, that is the crux of the issue, where men can't even have a conversation. You don't like me, you don't like me. I can't get back into your good graces, I can't. But to try to essentially take away my business, say that I'm a fraud, say that I'm this, I'm that, and attack me for things that you didn't have all the information about. And some would suspect that they haven't watched a 5 hour long podcast of them debunking everything, right? Or everything they could.
Right.
And hey, there could be some, there's always a little bit of lies. And I'm not here to, no one can do everything perfectly. We all make mistakes. So how about we move on? But it's just like O'Shea Duke Jackson kicking them out of Negro Manosphere. Whether that's a real thing or not, it's like, well,
But
you would kick out.
does he even have the power to do that though?
Well, the Negro Manosphere is his domain, right? So as far as that aspect, sure. As far as the Negro Manosphere existing, some would say it doesn't. It's no white, it's no Negro, it's just the Manosphere where men are. But if you want to say that both exist, yeah, you could say that he did the same thing to a guy like Donovan Sharp for whatever reason. I wasn't around for that, but to me, that's just like If you're the kingpin like that and that's how you act, people do something you don't like, you kick them out. Is it fair? Sure. I don't care about fair, but can you work this out better? I just think as men, we should be able to come together and work something out. Doesn't have to involve violence. It doesn't have to involve shouting, cursing one another. It just having a conversation. I mean, like Terrell Owens getting on Undisputed to talk to Skip Bayless, right? Like
Right,
neither of them have to do this. Both of them could have said no, but they both had issues with one another was saying and still came and talked it out. Now, whether they agreed or disagreed at the end is not the point. It's about having the conversation and trying to reach a middle ground because we're men and we don't get all upset. We talk things through if necessary. Now, there are some other sides to men that you say something crazy, you might get your head blown off. You know what I'm saying? But as far as what we're trying to push in the manosphere, red pill communities, men beat. Yeah, what? You started cutting out a little bit.
I said when it
As
come to
far as
that gangster shit,
yeah,
getting their head
yeah.
blown
So,
off.
but it's just like, yeah, But it was one of my favorite verses from a J Cole song. He was like, what they speak about in the streets is true. That real niggas don't speak when they beef with you. They just pull up on the street, let the heat I chew. I was like, oh, oh, oh. But point
Hey,
is,
that
man,
nigga nasty.
the point is, bro, we should be able to come together and talk things through. And if you still like me at the end, that's cool. But to me, it was just the fact that that couldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? That it was all downhill. Well, they said something about preacher's wife and blah blah blah. I mean, and I also watched Fresh and Fit apologize. Like, if you're not going to accept the apology, cool. But you can't sit there and act like they didn't say, "Hey, listen, we messed up." Every time Fresh tried to defend something that they did, Myron's like, "Nah, not Fresh. We messed up. We did that part wrong. That's on us." So they held themselves accountable, and whether you oh well, they held themselves accountable because they were losing subs. It's like it's a business, bro. What are you talking about? If your business is dying, you're going to let it bleed out? I just don't.
Right,
But that doesn't. That means they're not authentic. That means they're not them because of the fact that it took something crazy happening for them to want to be different. Isn't that how all change happens? Isn't that how
right.
wars start, civil wars start, and even end because someone realized they needed to be different? So my whole point is, how can men attack men? How the liberal culture cancels certain people without all the facts, without hearing from the people in particular. You cancel them, and in my opinion, don't even listen to what they have to say later. But then want to be men in a sphere of men to try to help other men improve, where some of the behavior that you carry is just as bad as the other person's. So my
Hey,
question,
bro.
well, go ahead.
Before you give me your question though, I'm gonna say this, dog. I was watching a movie the other night, right? Now I ain't even gonna fake. I went on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
I went on the HBO Max. I could have went under my name. I could have went under my lady name. I could have went under my son name, my stepson name. I went under my daughter's name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was wondering, like, would she be watching anyway? Like, and what, like, so I went under her name. When I went under my daughter's name, I wound up watching Percy, Percy, and the something, something, something. I don't remember what it was,
All
but
right.
Percy is the son of Poseidon,
Okay.
and the whole joint was about one of Poseidon's sons who wanted to overthrow the current state of regulation. And with that said, it was foul because he was only doing it because the other family, the the older ones, had thrown over the older ones from them
Mm.
previously, and it was wrong to do. So Percy is protecting what's in place now. Do you think that because with change, right? With
Mm-hmm.
change becomes new power, new regulations, new all of these things that become new with when change happens, right? But
Yeah.
but Percy is fighting to keep the same regulation that is for right now. But would the change be better or worse though? And would it be okay for that change to occur? Because things constantly change, and if they pull it out or they recognize something that might need some change, is it wrong to have that change, or is it right to have that change? Like, how does that sit? You know what I'm saying? And does that evolve it to another level of acceptance on what we all are trying to accomplish in life in general, but or does it keep it consistent to what we all been going through to make it the way that it's always been without any change? And which one is more acceptable, and how do we know which one is going to be more acceptable, and how do we know that the change is going to be a good change or a bad change if we don't even experience
Well, I like to take from data statistics. So let's talk about families for a moment. Now, the reason that America was such a strong country is because we had family in all communities, black before 1990s, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, the change in, at least in our community, has been more single moms, more kids out of wedlock, black boys reading at a fourth grade level, girls going to college and getting worthless degrees, waiting until they're 35 to want to find a man. Now, if we go back in time, we say, well, you don't have to get married at 18 no more. The reason why people got married so young was because life expectancy was not that high. So we could push it out a little bit. But for chicks, they should probably still get married a little bit sooner. At least that's what the past tells us. And you won't know what the change will be until the change happens. Very true. But you can look back and say these things worked and these things kind of worked. And the things that kind of work, you can adjust. You can try to change some newer and better things, and so on and so forth. But the things that did work, whether because nothing's 100%. So let's say that the traditional route worked 80% of the time, 2 out of every 10 chicks was what chicks are today, you would go, well, that's better than 8 out of 10 chicks being what chicks are today, right? So you gotta take the good with the bad. It's almost like listening to RP guys that don't get married, don't do this, and then they find out they got a wife. Now the information they gave may be hypocritical or contradictory, right? But if you look in your own life, you can see, and if you even start to improve, like I'm working on, you can see the difference in how people treat you, how you carry yourself, you bettering yourself, how you want betters for others. But just because they're married, maybe they tell you because they don't want it. So to answer in a very concise would be change is always happening. And it's about trying to take what's best from the old and incorporate it with something new. But the problem today is people just throw away all the old stuff. Oh no, women can do what they want. Men can be emotional. We don't really need to do anything but feel. That doesn't work. Men being men works, women being women works, and us working together works. Working a lot versus not working a lot. How do you want your life to be? What do you want to do? So I just think everything can be boiled down to a conversation. Typically, the reason why it was so specific on men was because men may be emotional. Some, let's say 60%, right? Probably about 70 or 80, really. However, the men that I'm referring to are all supposed to be men that understand that staying on your square means something and remaining in your frame means something. And when you lose your frame, acknowledging what you did wrong and how you can do better. And men, out of everything, should be able to work together and communicate. So the change should be from this liberal cancel culture to just a little bit of structure. And you can mix in some liberalness there, some liberalness there. But for the most part, just working together for a better solution. But one thing that's embedded in human nature is if you have an advantage, you're not going to let it go. If we're playing basketball and every time I miss a shot, I get the ball back because I'm a chick, why would I care? If I'm a guy that can go into a store, take my shirt off, and still tank tops because people think I'm hot, why would I care? You're going to take what's good for you. So looking at this entire situation, we got to do better. And my question would be, how can another how can men teach men how to be men while acting like essentially chicks, acting like a bunch of bitches, walking around here crazy in their feelings. You know what I'm saying? Not acknowledging what they did wrong, and being super emotional with your arguments. How can we teach other young men? Because I can't lie to you, I've hit a point where I'm just going to do what I do. I'm letting people cook. Oh, that's your belief? Cool. Oh, what do you think? You do what you do, bro. I'm letting people cook because I can no longer worry about anybody but myself.
Let
So
me
go
give you
ahead.
a scenario. Let me give you a scenario. You've been with a youngin for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And and everything you do, she against, right?
Mm-hmm.
You meet a new youngin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything that you do, she support, she involved in, she wants to be a part of it. She wants to try to like make it happen for you, right? This
Mm-hmm.
is this is an example of the change, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is an example of the change, right? But you have a foundation that you've built with the one previous,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you got investments, you got lifelong things that you've already put in place that you want to, finish out. You want to make sure that it comes to fruition. You know what I mean? You got to.
Hello. Think we're experiencing little technical difficulties. Just give us one moment.
Am I there or am I not there?
You're here now. I can hear you.
All right, but you got this person though that's just like 100% with you, 100% grinding. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hey,
they
Baka,
not.
I hate to try to stop you, but I already have an answer, bro. Listen, I'm not going anywhere that I don't feel appreciated or supported. Now, in a certain type of way, I do what I need to do as a dude: money, protection, provision. I lead in a direction, and she follows me. I'm going to the person that's first off. I can't deal with a chick that's against everything I'm doing because how am I going to be a man on my purpose when the purpose I have, the chick that I'm with, is constantly fighting against my purpose. It's an inherent battle between how she feels and what she thinks I should be doing versus what I want to do. Now, and the other chick that's super supportive, even she's going to have her limits, but she's going to try and be there, and she'll support you to a point where she can even help you grow using her connection, who she knows getting into places that you can't get into because you're not a good looking girl. And helping you out by networking with people that are just great to be around, great to know. So I could never be with the chick that's essentially a hindrance to my program. If I'm doing things, if I go to the gym every day, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, I get with a chick and I go, listen, we're going to the gym Monday through Friday. Oh well, okay. She says, okay, we're cool. I get with, and then I have another chick who, I don't feel like going today. Well, I don't feel like going either, but we're going. She fights me constantly, fights me constantly. Eventually I'm just going to stop dealing with her and go by myself. I, if you're not going to get on my program, that's cool. You don't have to. You have free will, but I don't have to be with you either. And that's how it is, straight like that. You have to be with me for me to not have to worry about that. That should see this is where guys say they want peace. This is where guys want peace. Now, if I'm doing something that ain't making me no bread, I'm trash at it, blah blah blah. And you try, hey, well, maybe you could do this because I think this is well better. There are ways to approach things. The same way a woman wouldn't want a guy to just say that's her boyfriend or her husband and say, no, you're fat. Hey, I think we should cut back on going out to Popeyes because you know I'm feeling like a Teletubby because you don't want her to feel too bad. There are things that you can do to mitigate certain risk and particularly guarding a woman's emotions. But man, I'm where the person supports me. and no matter the long, I could have a will with that chick. I promise you, I'm changing it. Why? Because and this is where I talk to all my guys that have kids. I have a friend that's like, man, I want more children. His girl is older. Well, his wife is older than him. Her eggs are frostbite gone. He didn't have no
Hmm.
kids with her, but he wants more kids. So what is he? I was like, bro, listen. This is why if I ever had a son, I would take care of your kids always. If your mom is making it difficult, try to go to court, try to get what you can get. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have the money to fight it like that, figure something out
Hey,
that.
dog, you say that though, right? You say that though. I don't know if you seen this shit. Texas man,
Mm-hmm.
white family, goes to his baby mother boyfriend house, and this nigga is literally saying, "Listen, I get the little nigga at motherfucking 3:15. It's 3:15. It's
Mm-hmm.
my time to see him. Where is he at?" The ex-boyfriend, I mean not the ex-boyfriend, but the boyfriend comes out the house with the nigga had an AR-15, nigga.
Mm-hmm.
He shoots at the ground the first time. The nigga, the father say, "I'll take that joint from you and shoot you."
Mm-hmm.
He tries to take it from him. Don't take it from him. The nigga raise a joint. Bop bop. Kill a nigga, dog.
Mm-hmm.
Kill him for him just trying to see his son, dog.
Bro, bro. Okay, two things. The guy, if a guy has a gun, it's immediately. If you're outmatched like that, bro, unless you're not a secret agent, man. Pick your battles. First off, you didn't have to get shot. You could have put your hands up, walked away, immediately got in your car. Now, if you shoot you on the way there, you can't do nothing about that. But you could have gotten your car, drove down the block, called the cops, and said, "A man has an AR-15 with my son inside." That nigga is immediately locked, right? So you lost your life kind of being stupid. However, you could have lost it either way. Cool. Secondly, we can't take the extremes of everything. There's a middle ground where it's okay. There's times where it's I can't even lie to you. I haven't heard a story where, unless the guy's a deadbeat, I have not heard a story of a guy not wanting to be with his kids. But I've heard of a lot of stories that you can look up or even ask anecdotally around you where the mom does not want the guy to be happy doing anything else because she's mad he left. She's mad he got a new girl, and she doesn't want him to see his son, or everything is a battle to try to get his son or daughter, and he can't. He still does it. He goes through all the BS while being abused, whether it's physically because she's beating on him and talking trash to him. You won't ever see a kid again, whether it's verbally. I see more of that than I've ever seen a guy get shot. Now, for that guy, rest in peace. I mean, you can't do nothing about that besides maybe act differently in the context of the situation. But we just
But
have
this
to do
goes back.
better.
This goes back to men dealing with men. Now, don't get it twisted. I've been in a situation like that, right? Right.
Yep.
And in a situation like that, listen, I tell a nigga straight up, listen, it's not even about me. So while we sitting here beefing, what it's about is you and your son. You came to my house. You knocked on my door. I opened up my door. You talk shit to me for months through text message and over the phone. I see you, and the first thing you do is give me a hug and thank me for taking care of your son.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, what happened to all that aggression that you had before? And then now we here face to face, and you thanking me when it's not even about me. It's about your son. But you ain't have 2 to 3 words to say to your son, and then you roll out like it was a beef joint, and you coming in the door hugging, and then we don't see you again for another 10 years. Like, nigga, like what the fuck was that about?
It's a pride and ego thing. I mean, listen, today I'm at work. Dude comes in. One of my coworkers asks him, what can you get started for him? Dude looks up because he was texting on his phone, gets pissed off. And everybody's like, what's going on? He tried to ask me my order while I was texting. Everybody's like, what? the guy, whatever's going on in his life, he acted wow, whether it was a pride or ego thing or just anger issues. But I feel you. Guys do a lot of messed up things, but from my experience, typically guys like that, they're so ashamed of themselves that they can't be around their kids. They're mad
Mm,
because the men that are around them are doing better than them and they can't provide the life that they want for their kids. They
mm,
absolutely love their kids a lot, but it hurts them more to be in the kid's life because they know they ain't shit and they know they
mm,
can never be shit. So instead of ruining their kid's life, they see somebody else that can potentially help it, but someone who's not as tied to the kid as they are. So they do things out of pride, like, I should be the one doing this for my kid. I should be the one buying this for my kid. I should be doing this, but they can't, or
mm.
they feel like they can't, so they won't, because they might have the money, but maybe they've been irresponsible their whole life. Maybe they've been selling drugs their whole life and don't want people to know they got a kid. Maybe they've been drinking alcohol their whole life and
Maybe
don't know
they
how to do
Drake.
nothing.
Maybe they Drake.
Yeah,
Maybe they Drake.
yeah, yeah. So it's a fucked up world, bro. It's not that easy. And that's why I wanted to talk about this men thing, because men, we got to do better. Now, as black men, have we progressed from the times of us being in prison? Hell yeah. I mean, I just read a K Sam's article about, it wasn't his article, but one that he posted on Instagram about what is it, 2.5 million black men are upper class or something like that, middle class. We out here. We've been doing the damn thing, but there's still some of us that need to do better. So, I want to kind of transition to this other thing before, get a little bit later into the conversation. But I say all that to say, as men, we have to do better, lead better. And then in our community in particular, our women have to be they have to be wanting us. They can't want this Frankenstein guy. They can't no. You gotta just want a black man that's out here doing his best. And if you want to stay at the finish line and have all the fun with the guys that got millions or hundred thousands or living their best life as a bachelor till they 40, go ahead. Do whatever you want. But don't try to come to a guy who's just living his best life as a young man or even as a 30-year-old, like, oh yeah, I got a kid and I want you to be with me. Or I'm single and childless, but I'm 34. And typically, if a guy wants to get married, he wants kids, and geriatric pregnancies at 35. And if you actually do the research, there was an egg chart. I think it was like 30 eggs. By like 28, there's like a, let's just say, 10% chance of having a kid that could be mentally challenged. Um, that's 28. Then by 32, it's like 40%. Then by 35, 90% chance that one of your eggs is a egg that's messed up. If you look at I mean, it's very dangerous. People talk about Janet Jackson. We don't know if that kid's spitting that bubbles and saying colors all the time. We don't know what the hell he on. Real talk. So
Already.
hey, I wish the best for everyone in all the decisions they make, but life is hard. And it comes
Mm,
down to choices and decisions. And as men, we should be able to talk to other men and not have to kill one another to get our point across. Now that shit
already.
happens. It
Now,
happens.
now, now. This is what I think, though. This is what I think right now, dog. I want you to tell them what our next conversation gonna be like, because I think we should leave it on this joint right here, and then bring it back even harder the next time, dog. But
Cool.
to finish this joint off, right? So we gonna do a part 2 of this motherfucker right here, right?
All right.
And I want to know how the conversation gonna start off, and how cause we back on here next Thursday at at at, at,
Eight.
at 9 o'clock. Oh, at 8. You right. You right. You right. At
Eight,
at
right.
at 8. At 8. All right. So I know what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? So when we bring this conversation back next week and people tapping in, right? And you've been giving some great valid points, man, on just men living life, men doing the right thing, men doing all of this, you know what I'm saying? And then,
Mhm.
we didn't mention the women tonight, because,
Mm,
and I appreciate that, though, because it's a lot of content out right now on just how, women do what they do, but we know
mhm.
what state they in too.
Hmm.
But with that said, dog, coming back to the men next week Thursday at 8 o'clock, dog. How we gonna kick this joint off?
Well, I really want to start with this vid stuff because the state of the world has a lot to do with what men have essentially let go. We've let go of a certain power, and you can call it the patriarchy. I don't care. But we have to reclaim said power because a matriarchy hasn't stayed the test of time. COVID mandates, vaccination mandates, vaccine mask mandates. You know, they stopped the mask mandate like 2 weeks ago and brought the joint back a week later in October. What the hell is going? Anything is happening because everything is based on this how I feel, a gynocracy, how I feel about maybe we should, even though mass wasn't saving lives when COVID started or when it ended. And if you look at the statistics, typically people over a certain age demographic die. And men, we have to reclaim, bro. It's a process, it's a journey. There's external work, there's inner work, and we'll get onto that down the line. But we gotta talk about the vid because the vid will lead us to death if we keep this ish up and we don't nip it in the bud. There's a reason why there's food shortages. Guess what? Atlas is shrugging, but we got to keep shrugging. And my power can go out, and as long as it proves the point, I don't care because they have to realize that men run and built the world we live in today. You gotta respect the men that do it. Either aspire to be one of them or aspire to go to a field that can benefit them: cybersecurity, lawyer, doctor, hell, a socialist, eventually musician, and stuff like the arts. But let's get back into trades. Let's do, especially in our community. Let's get back into trades. Let's do stuff. But let's improve as men and worry about the other stuff later. But if we do not combat this vid now, how we're doing though, we are doing it like I said, Atlas Shrugged. You see all those ships posted up in Cali, and we ain't going nowhere. No one's going back to Cali. We are chilling in our homes.
Going back, back. Hey,
Going
already.
back to Cali. Hey, real talk. So we're coming back.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. And all I'm saying is, I'm a young man trying to make it work. I'm working on myself every day. I have setbacks, constant inner work, constant external work. I mean, it's hard, man. It's nowhere near easy. Some people die before they can finish this. But if men can talk to men, and even men becoming men, better men, and trying to instruct them the best way they can, and besides forcing your values on them, you just let them know what you think and have a conversation to maybe enlighten them. Whether they do or don't is up to them. But let's do what's best for men. Anything else to say, Bach?
Hey, dog. Hey, nah. You always bring it, dog. You always hardcore on it. I love what you do. I love how you do it. I love the mental mindset, though. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes a lot to even be put yourself in that position. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
you got people who talk about it who think they walk it, but you know what I'm saying. It's always good to hear your perspective, and I love what you're doing with it, man. And I just see greatness for you, man. Just as a king on your own. You know what I'm saying?
I
And
appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it though because always, every time, you know what I'm saying, you give me some thought, some food for thought, and some thought, and I like it, man. I like it. I want to keep progressing my damn self. So I just
Well,
want to say thank you for, you know what I'm saying, putting this on, man. Black Community Podcast. If y'all don't know, this is a podcast by King Khalil. You know what I'm saying? He came up with the whole concept, the whole idea on just building the black community and just doing things in the community to help build it and make it into what it needs to be. If y'all don't know, y'all need to go check out his business for sure if y'all
mm,
haven't already, you know what I'm saying, because he's doing a lot of different things in the community and he's doing a lot of different things with himself and just self-empowerment and building up and just, you know what I'm saying, teaching and coming to his own, you know what I'm saying. And I really like it. This is my little cousin, you know what I'm saying, but I love what he doing. Y'all keep paying attention, y'all keep tuning in. We're gonna be back though next Thursday. I need everybody to tune in. We're gonna keep this conversation going, and we're gonna keep it going big, man. Hey, tell them where to follow you at, real quick, King.
You can follow me at Trey _forward. I got some gym stuff up there. I'm actually going to start posting again. And even Black Wall Street Inc. BWSINC on Instagram. We're working on some
Yeah,
stuff for that too. And don't forget to follow everything DMV. Go to everythingdmv.com/radio because the mixes there is hot. I'm trying to tell you. People be
you
spitting
already
up there.
know.
It's crazy. Y'all stay
You
blessed
already know.
and have a great night.
Already, man. My man, appreciate you. Peace.
Peace.